questions about group rides, and you hear a lot of people's hesitance and fear to get on group rides because they see some of the numbers and they get intimidated by them. Let me pull one up here. I got a few open here. One just this last Saturday's group ride with the squad here, plus one that's a little more typical. This is our typical ride. It's, you know, we don't have a more special route planned. This is what we do. And here you have average speed of 19.2 miles an hour. When the group's a little bigger like that, sometimes the rollouts and the regroupings take a little longer. So that for us, that's actually kind of on the slower end. We're usually around 20, sometimes 21 on this same route. But we've made some adjustments. Either way, that, depending on where you are, that can be a scary number when you see 19 miles an hour. When you're thinking, well, when I ride and I go for a 50-mile ride or a 60-mile ride, I ride 14 or 15, or when I really smash 16 miles an hour, and I see that number and it freaks me out. But I'm here to kind of point out a couple things. And group riding is, it shouldn't be as scary in terms of the effort. Obviously, you have to look at your own skill and everything when it comes to actually just riding in the group. But in terms of the power you have to put out to hang with a group, it's probably not what you think. And I tell most people, given your fitness, you can generally ride about 2 miles an hour faster with a well-behaved group of at least 8 people. Once you start hitting 8 or more people, you really start to see the benefits of the draft. Below 8, it's better. Obviously, it's better than riding by yourself or with just a couple people, but above 8, it really starts to get good. And it's very common for us to ride with 12, 16, 18, sometimes 20 plus people on a regular Saturday or Sunday smash out here in Texas. So I just want to show you, and so you can ride about 2 miles an hour faster. You can expect that. So if you see a local group ride you want to do, and you see their map, where they go, the route, and before you show up, because maybe you're a little scared, you go ride that ride, just to get used to the route. And let's say you can do it at 16 miles an hour, and you see the group average is 18. You know what? You can easily hang with that group. And in terms of distance, like if you're like, I only ride about 40 or 50 miles, and it looks like this group goes 60 or 70, you can generally not only ride 2 miles an hour faster with a group on a given route, you can also go about 20% farther. So if you can ride 50 miles at that same pace, that's for the same effort, you're going to have no problem riding 60 miles with the group. It's not a big deal, okay? So I want to point that out first. And then I want to show you just some of the numbers you hear. I use Strava, use whatever you like. I like Strava. I'm not a huge numbers geek. In fact, I only have a power meter on one of my bikes. I was trying to flipping through some of my activities here to see if I could draw some comparisons on, and I couldn't find a route where I did the same route by myself with my bike with a power meter as I did with a group. But I've done like similar routes without a power meter, or similar rides and climbing with or without a power meter. But we're just going to kind of draw some comparisons here with what Strava has, just to show you that with a group, and especially if you're a good group rider and you really know how to be efficient and use the draft, it can be real easy. So here's a typical Saturday ride for us. Looks like this includes, I think I have about 8 or 9 miles round trip from my house to where we meet up to ride. So the ride itself, and sometimes I actually break up the laps just so I can see. Yeah. So this little bit here, lap 1 is my ride to the ride. So the ride itself actually ends up being 19.8 miles an hour, average heart rate of 149. So that was a hard day. If I'm averaging 149, I was either doing a lot of work on the front. It looks like my heart rate monitor wasn't wigging out. This was clearly a fast section right here. Heart rate's up. Power is fairly up. Something glitched there. There's no way I did 2,155 watts. But yeah, I'm riding a bike with a power meter here. So yeah, it looks like this was a hard day. Like we really got after it on this ride. So, but even with that, let me show you what'll really blow your mind about group rides if you're not normally in it. So this was 3 hours, 47 minutes of riding. So just under 4 hours. And in that, I was doing, here's what you'll see. And I'll show you an estimated one too. So if you don't have a power meter, you'll see a similar type of a graph here, but this is showing that for that 3 hours and 47 minutes, half hour, which was just my easy roll to and from the ride. So it's really like 3 hours. So in 3 hours, nearly a third of it for an hour, a little over an hour here, I was basically not pedaling. I was just cruising. So right there, you knock that down. I mean, they just take that out. It was that easy. I was chit-chatting, hanging out, sitting in the draft, enjoying the ride. Maybe it was sunny. I can't remember. And even if I go up to these other 25 watt distros, 2 minutes there is 1% of the ride. It starts to creep up. 5 minutes at under 75 watts. And, almost 9 minutes under 100 watts. And even still, like until I get to, for me, I'm 180 pounds, till I get to like 220 watts, everything to the left of this average and here, I'm basically not working, So you're talking, I haven't done the math in my head here. 7, let's see, if I go here, let's start with that one. So 7, 10, 15, so you're talking nearly 2 hours of this 3 hour ride. I'm basically not working. And then there's just some few bits. So this part of the curve here, these 25 watt distros, is usually probably where I'm doing pulls on the front, in the 225 to maybe 350 range. Is where I'm probably sitting on the front doing a little bit of work. So you're looking at, 15, half hour, 45 minutes, an hour. So basically about an hour of the 3 hours, I'm doing work. And then plus there's just kind of little, like maybe we're going up rollers and stuff. And this is where you need to be prepared to ride in a group. If you're efficient, man, you can really get this time up. And most of the time, because I'm the ride leader, I'll tend to really spend a lot of time on the back because you lead the group from the back. And I'll play a game sometimes. How low of a heart rate can I turn in? We can have these smashing rides in the summer when everyone's in shape, and I can easily turn in a 3 hour, 4 hour ride that is at 21 plus miles an hour. And my average heart rate is effectively active recovery. And that just comes from learning how to draft. But where most people get hurt, where they're not used to group riding, is these little stabs. For me, that's, when I start getting my FTP, I think right now is, at least while I was doing this ride here, was probably around between 290 and 300. So I start to get, 20, 30, 50 watts above FTP. Those are short bursts, sprints or little roller hills. Those are the things that are going to hurt you on a group ride if you don't train to it. So that's really where people get dropped or kind of lose it, is when you're bleeding out your eyes for 40 seconds trying to hang on to the wheel because there's a town sign sprint coming up, or you got to get up a roller or something. But most of the time, when the group is just putting along, you should be able to conserve energy. Let me show you a similar ride. Oh, here's a good one. This one I pulled because it was long. I wasn't running with a power meter this day. So 6 hours, 40 minutes, 134 miles. Not much climbing for us. That's a very flat route. It's about as flat as they get. And so you're looking at a 6 hour ride, plus again, knock off a half hour of that because I had to ride to and back from the ride. So 6 hour ride with the group, and I'm doing, almost 4 hours of that 6 hours. I am basically not pedaling. So that's a 2 hour ride. You can ride for 2 hours. And even at that, when I'm doing pulls there, and again, this is what yours look like if you're not running a power meter. This is estimated power. So riding a group, this is the biggest thing. It's not that hard if you learn how to get in the draft and chill out. What you do have to be prepared for are the little stabs when there's little rollers, pedaling hard to get into the group as it pulls away from an intersection. If you're on the back of the group, there's always a little rubber band effect coming through turns, and there's a little rubber band effect on turns. So just being able to go hard for 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe 8 minutes, you can hang with groups very easily. A lot of people make the mistake of, I want to ride with that group, so I'm going to go smash the route they do at a very even pace, but I'm going to go fast. Well, that's fine if you can go 22 miles an hour, at 200 watts or 220 watts or whatever. But can you hit those hard efforts where it really matters to stay on? So don't be afraid about jumping on that group ride, because again, most of the time, if you're good, It's not much work at all. Where you do need to concentrate on getting better is probably your short, 10, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 3-minute power. That's what you need to get after if you want to get on the group ride. All right? Right on.